I am, like many people, I suppose, averse to making a fool of myself in public. Although fairly fit and healthy, I would not dream of exercising in a public space other, that is, than by walking in out of the way places. Whenever I go through my morning routine of physical jerks, or my pitiful jerks, as my wife calls them, I have an uncomfortable vision that I perhaps resemble the fellow shown in the thumbnail to this video. Some older viewers might recognise him as a character from the William books. In this case, just William, the first of the William books, published in 1922. It shows Mr. Bott trying to lose weight. So it is that I sometimes see young men exercising in the open air by shadow boxing or going through similar workouts to my own, but I would not do such a thing myself. Part of the problem for those wishing to keep fit is that this seems increasingly to have become a public performance rather than a private pursuit. It is something for which people engage personal trainers and then go to a gymnasium to work out, or perhaps join some sort of exercise class. Others feel that the only way to boost their cardiovascular health is by running through the streets or dressing up in special clothing and then going for a bicycle ride. All this is very odd because keeping fit was once something restricted to the home. I wonder how many people like me are or have been a fan of the Canadian Air Force exercises, sometimes known as the 5BX system. Here's a copy of the thing from 1969, which cost 5 shillings. Reading the blurb tells us it says a get fit, stay fit course for today's town dwellers. Da, da, da. They can be completed. Practical answer, modern way of getting fit, feeling fit, etc. It tells us that these workouts were intended for ordinary people to do indoors in the privacy of their own homes. Actually, I'll make a separate video about the 5BX stuff, but in the meantime, this serves to remind us that keeping fit was once a private matter for the average person. These days, it's a social activity. Indeed, for a lot of people, going to the gym or even the swimming pool has more to do with socializing than it does keeping fit. At the local swimming pool, one finds groups of people congregating and chatting in the shallow end, but doing precious little actual swimming. Some of them have been advised by their doctors that visiting the swimming pool is a good way to exercise so they can lose weight or increase flexibility of their joints, improve their cardiovascular health, and a host of other things. Unfortunately, they often seem to feel that it's enough to go to the swimming pool and get in the water. Once there, they chat together from time to time, swimming a length before rejoining the conversation, and then they get out and all go for a coffee together. Much the same thing may be observed in gyms, where many people go to meet friends and hang out with people whose bodies already look pretty sleek. The people that one sees in a gym never look as though they're the kind of people who need to be working on their fitness and health. For those of us who are ungainly or odd-shaped, I'm a hunchback, so I feel able to say this without causing offence, it is a different story. We do not always wish to expose our bodies to public view, and this means exercising in secret. There are 2 points about this, one good and one bad. The good point is that when you are carrying out such a program in your own home with nobody else present, then you are, as it were, competing only against yourself. You're trying to do better than you did yesterday or last week without reference to anybody else. When you're doing this kind of thing with other people around, it's almost impossible to avoid being self-conscious, and if you're not careful, you'll find that you're putting on a show for others instead of focusing upon your body, your needs, and what you hope to achieve. In other words, visiting a gym or taking part in a class with others can disrupt what you're actually hoping to achieve by causing you to be more concerned with what others are or are not achieving or how you look, which is absurd. The disadvantage of exercising privately, and it can be a very real disadvantage, is that since you are only answerable for yourself and nobody is watching, the temptation sometimes arises to skip this or that activity. Perhaps it's a cold morning and you don't quite fancy stripping to the waist. Or maybe you just don't feel like getting down on the floor and doing 30 press ups. When you're with others, of course, then this is an incentive to keep up. But when you're alone and nobody knows if you do them or not, then you can tell yourself it doesn't really matter if you just skip them for today. You can be resolute about doing them tomorrow. I will confess at once that I'm prone to this weakness myself, although not as much as I once was. The thing that cured me of this habit was simply that I realised it's a form of cheating, and that the only person I was cheating was myself. None of this is to discourage people from attending classes or visiting gymnasia, but more reflecting on some of the aspects which might be borne in mind. For my own part, I am convinced the solitary course of exercise, if rigorously pursued, is probably the best bet for old people for the reasons which I have outlined. And actually, there's no shortcut to becoming fit in this way. It can be a long, hard slog.